Thank you, Mr. Bloom. We'll now have questions, and I will yield myself 5 minutes to ask. First, when we started this hearing, you came up to the panel and kind enough to express some thoughts to some members, and some of that was very optimistic on the automobile dealerships, the automobiles company's successes, General Motors. Can you share some of that with us so that we have some positive ideas?
Yeah, I think there is some good news. I think it's much too early to speak definitively about whether or not these restructurings will indeed succeed. But as we examine General Motors and as we examine Chrysler, we believed and continue to believe that with this difficult and painful restructuring, the companies can succeed. I think I mentioned to you that, for example, General Motors has, in the last few years, released some cars that are very popular among the American people, that have received numerous accolades in the automotive press by objective outsiders. The Malibu was the car of the year. The new Chevy Camaro, which has been released recently, is selling quite well, appears to be very popular. So we believe these companies are positioned for success, but obviously the implementation of these plans is still going to take a lot of hard work ahead, and we intend to be monitoring that closely.
And do you believe cash for clunkers is successfully going to spur new automobile sales?
We are quite hopeful that the Cash for Clunkers program will have its intended effect, which is to boost sales of new cars by inducing people to turn in older, less fuel-efficient cars. Yes, we are very hopeful it will succeed, and while it's a given amount of money and a particular period of time, hopefully if it appears to be a success, Congress will consider expanding it in the period ahead.
Let me ask you this, on the question of the dealerships, and the particular one I mentioned in my area, Mr. Roy in South Haven. Outstanding dealer, top flight. Give me the logic or the understanding, or should there have been some, or can there be some under consideration given to a successful minority dealer?
Well, obviously, by the opening statements, and as I tried to indicate in my remarks, obviously the situation confronting dealers is one that is occupying a lot of attention, and many members of Congress have reached out to us directly to speak about this. I am not in a position to give you a chapter and verse about a particular dealer. I'm certainly happy to
How about
facilitate.
just a general thing about a minority dealer who does great and gets recognized?
The fundamental reality facing the companies and their dealer network was the following. By all measures, these companies had far too many dealers relative to the number of cars they were selling. As for an example, the average Toyota dealer sells almost 4 times as many cars as the average Chevrolet dealer. And all outside experts that we consulted, and we obviously came to our independent decision, but we did listen to a lot of voices. All those voices agreed that this over-dealering, this too large dealer network was placing a burden on the companies in terms of their long-term ability to succeed. Having too many dealers erodes the brand equity and therefore the company's ability to get a fair value for its product for all of its dealers, and therefore eventually for the company as well. And so the decision was made, and it was not our decision specifically about exactly which dealers would be eliminated, but we did press the companies to say, you have to do a lot of things to become more profitable. You have to rationalize your plant network. You have to get concessions for your hourly employees. You have to reduce your level of interest payments on your debt. You have to take many difficult, hard steps that put many people into a very difficult circumstance. And that included the dealers. And so the company came forward with a program to substantially rationalize their dealer network. We wanted to assure ourselves, and we did assure ourselves, that that program was based on objective criteria. And the companies have then gone and they have implemented that program. We believe that program, not by itself, but as part of these other steps, was a critical part of positioning these companies for future success.
Let me ask you this, because my time's about to expire. I understand you're trying to do rational, objective bases and all. Did that not, in fact, discriminate against, in an inordinate manner, minority dealers who might have gotten into the game late and had areas that weren't as necessarily as affluent historically as the non-minority dealers?
We were concerned about that issue. The data we saw, particularly from Chrysler, but GM as well, showed that in fact there was not a disproportionate impact on minority dealers. That said, We have met with the Minority Dealers Association. We have met with the company. The companies have assured, both of us have assured us they are committed to their minority dealer programs where they are trying to increase their minority dealer representation, and we intend to monitor that progress as well. I would also add that the SBA program, which Member Watt spoke about earlier, in some respects was not, while not targeted to minority dealers, was targeted at the smaller dealers. And that program was modified to permit it to do auto dealer financing, and that program is underway as well.
Thank you. I now recognize